keynote lunch in celebration of Global Entrepreneurship Week and the 28th event for Do It in Durham. So the BACD has been running around like crazy. This is number 28. Let's give them a round of applause for that. I'm Patrick Lyburn, the president of Startup Durham. I'm not going to take a lot of time, and I'm going to pass the mic over to our special guest today. I'm going to do an introduction of them now, but before I start that, I want to do a quick shout out to those that have made this event possible. The Town of Ajax, thank you for the support on this. BACD, classic group of companies for the catering today. And of course, SJ71 and G Center for allowing us to be here. It is never too late to start a new venture. All it takes is the courage to take those first steps towards launch. Right now is the perfect time to dream big, follow passion, and create your own path to success. Join tomorrow's leaders today, hear from one of Canada's top mentors, and learn why there has never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. This keynote will share best practices that decrease the risk of startup failure so that you have started a venture or are considering doing so soon. This is a must-attend event, so thank you for coming to all of those. Dr. Wise is an expert on startups and venture capital. He uses his expertise in various roles as a university professor, best-selling author, international business speaker, and a partner at Ryerson Ventures, a seed-stage venture capital fund and technology accelerator. For the past 15 years, Dr. Wise has been active in the seed venture capital industry. He has lectured on topics of venture capital, entrepreneurship, and innovation, and keynoted over 250 boot camps, financing forums, and industry conferences. This is Dr. Wise's 22nd stop on his Startup Canada tour. He's taken an 18-month sabbatical to do this. He's here courtesy of Startup Canada, so we can also put a round of applause together for Startup Canada. Professor Wise has trained more than 10,000 entrepreneurs who have collectively raised more than $2.1 billion from different investment sources. He has published 5 books, more than 24 peer-reviewed research papers, and case studies of high-growth startups. Dr. Wise spent 5 seasons as a consultant for the CBC on mega-hit venture reality show Dragon's Den, before moving in front of the camera as the host of Naked Entrepreneur, which airs on Oprah Winfrey Network. What time? Still on.
Sunday morning.
Sunday mornings, so get up and watch it.
Set your DVR.
Dr. Wise has been called the Dr. Phil of Entrepreneurship, and in 2014, he was named the Entrepreneurial Mentor of the Year by Startup Canada. So please help me welcome Dr. Wise, and learn why now is the best time to be an entrepreneur.
Hello, Durham.
Hello.
Wow. All this. Do I need a microphone? I don't think I need a microphone. All across this great nation of ours, from coast to coast to coast, I've asked that question, hello, when? And everywhere but here, I've had to ask for it a second time. So congratulations for your level of... I'd also like to thank Starbucks Espresso for spiking all of your drinks. I'm very much appreciative of your time. I know, being a father of 2 and a professor, a TV person, that time is very limited. And so you've chosen to share it with me, and I very much appreciate that. And I appreciate your organizers who have put this event together. Let's give them a round of applause. So I've been asked to share with you some perspectives, but I think before we do that, we need to get some things out of the way. So if you want to tweet this, or take a picture, or do whatever you want that makes you happy, I'll do selfies, although I can't understand why, but I will do it. But you can. And you can always tell I make my own presentations, because my ADD is so bad that I always spell things wrong. So, there's always a bonus point if you can declare where I've spelled the word of the day. One of my students is here, and he can tell you that they used to play it as a game. Which slide will be wrong? But I have terrible spelling, so it's Entrepreneur No More, or hashtag wise words. Startup Durham, obviously Sean Wise, that would be me. I also think it's important that we sort of have an agenda for the day. So I'm going to start with my favorite topic, obviously, myself. No, it's okay to laugh. It's not true. Hey, why would a narcissist tell you that? Come on, it's fine. Then I want to learn a bit about you to make sure I approach the audience in a way that's respectful. I want to discuss, obviously, the reason I'm here, which is to talk about why now is the best time to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to share with you some best practices from my perspective. But I think it's really important in an era of Trump, in an era of alternative facts, in an era where anyone can have a pundency and stand on the internet and tell you what they think. I think you need context into where this knowledge is coming from. And you should never be afraid to ask, how do you know? And where does that come from? And I think that we encourage anything with students at Ryerson, it's to be critical thinkers, not to just accept things because they're on the internet, right? On the internet, I might look like a superstar. I don't, but I might. That doesn't make it true. Having a Wikipedia entry and being a superstar are different things. So I think it's important to lay the landscape. So I'm going to have to start by giving you my landscape, and I apologize, as every good Canadian will. I apologize because it's talking about myself, which is not my favorite talk. But there is a bonus. At the end, we'll have some time for some questions. And in order to encourage you to ask, we're going to give away some books. So first prize is one copy of my latest book, which hit #1 on Amazon a month ago in 5 categories, Startup Opportunities. My mom said I had to do this, so I got 2 young kids at home. I got to work for it. The second prize is, of course, 2 copies of the book. These aren't my jokes, I've stolen them from other people. So I had my first startup when I was 13 years old, and as you can tell from the gray in my beard, that wasn't yesterday. I took my first company public at age 31. I was nominated to Canada's Top 40 Under 40. I started Canada's National Mentor of the Year, which to me is a great honor because it's appointed or elected or voted on by actual startups, not some third party. And I was honored by our Prime Minister of Startup Canada to be our National Fellow for Startup Communities, which is a fancy way to say I got to go across this country for the last 18 months and visit with not just entrepreneurs, but such an inclusionary group of entrepreneurs. I work mostly in tech, mostly in software, mostly in companies that want to be Google. But that is a small sliver of our economy and a small sliver of the amazing things that entrepreneurs do every day. And I'm the son of small business people entrepreneurs, familypreneurs, or as they used to call it, trying to feed the kids, right? So I think it's important to know that this is firsthand from me. Yes, I have a bunch of degrees in this, and yes, I've written books on this, but that's not where it's coming from, right? I have worked on Dragon's Den. Has anyone seen the show? Yeah. So I was actually asked to be a dragon before the show started, and the network said I had a face for radio. So that's actually true. They weren't very nice, but that was okay. They asked me if I would blog for them and if I would be the online kind of person and if I would help people because they were a great communist organization, but they don't know anything about capitalism. It's funny, wait for it. But this has been such a great show. It's not because Dragon's Den is true or not true, right? It's about as true as The Apprentice is best practices for hiring. Right? It's something that's interesting, but what's amazing is not only was the CBC able to get a #1 show that's not related to hockey, but they were able to do it at a very low cost, because all the money being invested is ours, like it's the investors themselves. So it's a great opportunity. What I like the most is the #1 demographic, 18 to 24. Young people today thinking about not working for the man, or the woman, or the person, but working for themselves. And again, that's more than just high-tech entrepreneurs. Yeah, that's the cool thing they make TV shows on HBO on, but that's not what we do every single day. What we do every single day is entrepreneurship. So I've studied it, I've had a chance to do my own show with the Oprah Network, and no, I don't know Oprah personally, and yes, I've asked. Where I sit down with millionaires and ask them how they got that way. And the reason we did the show, to be quite frank, is when I started teaching entrepreneurship, we used to use like A&E biography videos. Anyone remember A&E biography? It's so interesting to learn about other people. But all the people I was showing my students looked nothing like my students. They were all old white guys. And I'm not saying Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and all of this, but that's not us. That's not inclusionary. That's a very small segment. So I spent 5 years working with our national broadcasters to record a show highlighting us that look like my students, that have similar backgrounds. And that's really been a great, great journey. We've got 50 of them available. Netflix said we weren't fun enough. But we're on iTunes. You're always welcome to. All the money goes to the students who actually produce the show. So the Naked Entrepreneur has no nudity, but what it's given me, I know it's not Game of Thrones. That's okay. Right? We still have Game of Thrones for another season. Oh, that Jon Snow, you're so sexy. I think from today's perspective, most people would probably want to know this. So in the last 24 months, sorry, the last 36 months, we've invested in 23 companies. So in 24 months, we've invested in 23 companies. These are all high-tech companies in Toronto, led by Torontonians who are trying to change the world. And so what I'm going to share with you today isn't some textbook that I got from the University of Glasgow where I did my PhD. It isn't something I learned at the feet of my parents who were great entrepreneurs in their own right. This is what I'm seeing every single day. And so that's really good news, and I want to share it with you. But before I do that, I want to know about you. How many people would consider themselves an entrepreneur? And how many people would consider themselves a community partner who serves entrepreneurs? So can we round them up, please? And we should give them extra food for all the hard work they do. Okay, so for most of this presentation, I'll talk to the entrepreneurs, but also the people who serve these entrepreneurs will probably agree with what I'm about to share with you. So, would anyone disagree that being a founder, creating your own business, whether it be a corner store or a technology software company, is hard? Why is it hard, ma'am? My friend with a lovely file kit.
It's just a lot of commitment and finding the resources and learning so much.
The mature gentleman behind you, sir, why do you think it's hard to start a company? I didn't say funny guy, I said mature guy. Leave the jokes for me, okay? You're not getting paid for this.
Well, I haven't done that, but I know people that have.
So you're not an entrepreneur, but you play one on TV?
No, I know.
That's okay.
I'm not an entrepreneur, but I just started.
Okay, let's go over here to an entrepreneur. Why is it so hard?
You probably have to quit your day job to put in 150%.
Are you like pitching my book? Because it's entitled Know When to Quit Your Day Job. And I'll get to the punchline. It's not anytime soon, okay? I gotta tell my students, like, why don't you go work for a bit and then figure out what's wrong with the world?
That's right.
Okay, instead of drop shipping your way to happiness, right? You don't quit your job anymore. That's a myth. Okay, you make sure you quit after you can feed your family and prove that the risk is worth it. There's always risk. Okay, our parents and our grandparents have been dealing with risk since they left old countries to come here years ago, and that's true of all of us, no matter who you are. So, well, that's not true. That's true of most of us. I shouldn't say that's all of us. There are some great part of us that are First Nations and were here before us. But either way, entrepreneurship is empowerment. It's what we teach people to get out of bed every day. Entrepreneurship is about making change in the world. But it's really hard. And it's hard. I'm going to read this list out because I know people will be here. Oh, you're the screen. Okay, then I don't need to do that. Look at this list for a minute here. I want you to raise your hand if you or one of your customers, your clients, your stakeholders have ever asked one of these questions. Let's see here. Make this match. It doesn't work on that. Okay, where do I find my revenue-generating business? How do I know if my idea is worth launching? Put your hand up and keep it up. I'm not going to look until the end. How do I know if this is the best opportunity for me? Keep your hand up if you've ever heard these questions or thought about them. What's the next thing I should do to move towards success? How do I fund my business? Keep them up. How can I learn from others? I don't like that. How do I receive guidance? How do I minimize the risk of failing? How can I increase the probability? Everyone, right? Because it's uncertain. Or so we thought. But the first thing I want to tell you is you're not alone. That's really important to hear. Okay? In this room are other people like you trying to make payroll, trying to get more customers, trying to deliver more value. Okay? You're not alone. And that's really important because we've done research extensively that proves participating in your entrepreneurial community or startup community, whether it be Startup Durham or some of the other great groups that are around, increases the successful opportunities you have. It increases the probability of success. Why do you think that is, my friend in the lovely blue cardigan? No? I see her. Oh, indigo. Indigo's more purpley. And of course, he's sitting beside the woman in the indigo cardigan. Go ahead. Why does joining a community, coming out to events like this, make you more likely to succeed?
The brainstorming aspect of it, being around like-minded people.
More people, there's two things there. More people, more ideas. More people who are similar to me, less end of the world catastrophizing. Right? Misery loves company, entrepreneurs love company. Right? Two things you can take away. Entrepreneurs love company, and they always like to talk about their business. And we'll tell you how to leverage that for you. Why else is participation important? You're really winning the book today. Go ahead.
You can access a wide range of networks and resources.
So social network theory, which is what my PhD is in, social network theory for entrepreneurs, but is not Facebook. Okay, social networks have existed since we all got together to tackle the mammoth. There was a mammoth in humans to say that. Social networks is your own network of people you work with, people you know, people who trust you, people you share knowledge with, sometimes on Facebook, sometimes in the real world. But by joining a community, you increase your network. And that's really important.
And
you also, you want to keep going?
You get access to, resources for funding.
So that's the economies of scale argument. That when you participate in a community, other people will come to that community to fund those companies, to support them, to provide great co-working space for them. Right? But the key for you to walk away right off the bat is you're not alone. Okay? This is not you feeling like, when am I successful? When will I stop having to worry about payroll? But I want you to do something for me. Remember, there is participation points. I want you just to close your eyes for just 10 seconds. Just close your eyes for 10 seconds. And I want you to imagine running a business and knowing what to do next. I want you to imagine building only products that customers love to pay for. I want you to imagine having all the resources you need when you need them. All the money, all the human capital. Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, pay attention in the next 15 minutes. I'm going to tell you how to do it. So, now is an amazing time to be an entrepreneur. Not just because we're giving out free sandwiches in the back, but because there's so much change going on in the world. When I started entrepreneurship, it was 83. So I went to law school, MBA school in the 90s. And when I wanted to learn about business and entrepreneurship, they gave me biographies of Ben Franklin and Lee Iacocca. So a car salesman and a president of the United States. It was pretty entrepreneurial, but also a lot of other things. But now it's changed. Because we've had the dot-com boom, which was that big push of technology companies in the late 90s, and then in the aughts, which is what Americans call it, in the mid-2000s, we had Web 2.0, which brought us the likes of Facebook, right, Twitter, and then we have this latest age, we're calling the age of unicorns, where, the things we decided to do with all of this great technology is swipe right and swipe left. And you laugh because you know it's Tinder I'm talking about. But now is an amazing time to be an entrepreneur. All different types of entrepreneurs, not just the high-tech Silicon Valley ones. And there's 5 main reasons. Let me start with the biggest one. It has never been less expensive to start a startup. Whether that's a store, whether that's an online thing, whether that's a restaurant, because we have figured out the infrastructure necessary. In 1997, when I was working with Ernst & Young in the venture capital group, when someone wanted to create, say, an online jewelry store, you had to not only have amazing jewelry, but you had to have an online presence, an ability to get customers, because there was no Google, so how would people find you? You had to have a way of verifying people, because there was no LinkedIn. You had to have a way of taking their money, because there was no PayPal. So it cost a lot. In fact, it would cost anywhere from $2 to $5 million to launch that store in 1997. Go forward 5-10 years. Mid-2004, 2005, 2006, leading up to Web 2.0. Those costs dropped by 1/10. Where? Put the remote. So in 95, that would cost $5 million. In 2005, 500,000. As we move forward, it's less than $5,000. My nephew with an espresso from Starbucks, it sounds like a sponsor, an espresso from Starbucks and a laptop and a Shopify account can build a better online store than we funded in 1997. More robust, more scalable. But most of all, he can start generating revenues with it. It wasn't this, let's look at the store for 2 years and then start generating revenues. He figured it out. And because of the open source movement, because of the PayPals of the world, and because of the Facebooks of the world, we can test things much, much faster. So it's more affordable than ever. The second thing is that there are more people online than ever before. According to the internet, whatever that might be, there are 3,424,971,237 people online as of 10 a.m. this morning. I'm not surprised about the 3.4 billion. I get that. That's about 50-60% of the world's population. I get that. I don't understand the 37. Like, is someone watching me in the morning when I turn on the computer? Like, why does this number change? And why isn't it changing every second if that's the case? But because there's everyone online, you're no longer limited to the people that you want to work with, the people that you want to serve. With all of these customers online, they're all buying something. Let's discuss that. How many people went online this month to buy something? Wow, this is how many people went online to look up information and bought it in the real world? So everyone is doing this. And because they're doing this, we can have Star Trek t-shirt companies online. When I was a young geek, we wanted Star Trek t-shirts, we had to wait for the once-a-year annual Star Trek convention. We had to line up, no free tickets allowed, down at the convention center. Well, I'm going to beat us up in line. And you had to buy it. And then you wore it all year while I went to lunch. But now, because it's not just the neighborhood you're selling to, there's a big enough market. In fact, Star Trek t-shirts online do very well, apparently. What's funny is there's also a Star Trek dating site. That was just a whole other thing to explore. But leave it for there. Great new series. Someone online is buying something. Everywhere in the world, people are buying online, even if their access point is a phone, not a computer. That also goes for global teams. There are places in the world that never laid the infrastructure for the internet in the ground because they didn't have the cell signals, they didn't have the infrastructure to do it. But now, because of the cellular networks and the satellite feeds, they're able to bring it everywhere, which means you can team up with people in Ramallah from your home. You can team up with people in London from your home. When I went to business school, you only had like the 30 people in your class to team up with because they were the only ones that you even thought about starting a business. But it's not that way anymore. There's actually a website called founderdating.com. And that isn't where young Jeffrey goes to find his dates. That's where you go to find co-founders. And he has to have a swipe left and a swipe right, but that's not what The next thing that's so important is that everything is available mobily. I've been on the road for 18 months, including a very large and long stint in Tel Aviv, Israel. I didn't tell anybody I was going. I can run the whole office from my smartphone. I need to print something at the office, just print it. He or she can go pick it up and deliver it. I don't need to be there. I need to print something because we broke a piece of the crib and no one in the whole country had a replacement piece. So I took it, had it 3D scanned and printed the piece and rebuilt the thing. Because that's the world we live in today. If you want to prototype something, the only thing you need is the something. Okay? You can get CAD drawings created, you can do 3D printing, you can even fund it with Kickstarter. So the barriers to entry have really dropped low. And even if you don't know something, there's a website to explain it. I'm terrible with cars, as you can probably guess. But my car was making this honking noise in the middle of the night. One YouTube video later, just a proper Boolean search, and away you go, and I have the answer. I cut the wire. Now there's no This is the last of the 5 points, and I know we probably want to get to more fun things like question and answer and dessert. But the fact is that when I went to school, I dreamed of a map, like a Peter Pan map with an X marks the spot. And X was success. And if only I could reverse engineer my steps back, I could figure out the path to success. So I used to think that was never going to be possible, because just how do you map that? But because so many companies have been born, died, grew, merged, went from $1 to $1 billion, we, as academics, can step back and see the whole life cycle. Now that we've had 3 waves of this, we've been able to see, remember, to build a billion-dollar company used to take generations. Families of the Eaton family, that's a generation it took. Not since, but generations of people. But now it's like 12:30, we're done. Right? Kickstarter, okay, let's go. We got $10 million now, we can build a building. Not that easy. But what is easy is that we've studied thousands of startups that have been created and died over the last 20 years, and we've been able to reverse engineer a whole lot of it. This is the answer. Startup, cash in, sell out, and grow down. Okay, obviously, not all of us like so. This was a slide that I came across in 2009. It was given to me by a friend in San Francisco. It's from a group called Funders and Founders. And it is an actual how to start a startup roadmap. And so I took this back to my classroom and I said, let's do it for a semester. And it was a disaster. Launch, let everyone know you made something. Hey everyone, we've made something. We're going to use social media. Okay, use it. No, we just talk about using it. We don't actually do it. So they didn't know how to micromanage these steps. And so what happened was a bunch of people out of Stanford and Cal Berkeley, like Steve Blank and Eric Ries and Bill Aulette from MIT, we started to reverse engineer it. And we were able to actually break it down. And so we've created at Ryerson something called 100 Steps to Startup. And it's 100 steps because building a revenue positive business isn't an overnight easy thing. If I made it to 7 steps, you would know I was full of shit. Okay? It's 100 steps. Now, one of the steps is like buy your domain name. We probably all know how to buy our domain name. That's right. Oh wait, not all of us. So what we did was we asked, what is our first year students like? What is it they know and don't know? And what we did was we created the path. And this is the path that we've been talking to people about. Each one of these steps has a video that explains the step. Each one of these steps has a worksheet and an exercise. And we start students at the very, very beginning, and we let them evolve their way through the process. You can find out more at 100 Steps to Startup. But what I really want you to know is that now is the best time to be an entrepreneur. It's never been more affordable. The customers have never been more available. It's never been more known. Now, I'm going to share with you very quickly a few best practices because I was asked to, and then I'll talk a little bit about bringing this all together. We've talked a little bit about why participating in the community is important, learning from others, passing on knowledge, making connections, economies of scale. All of these things make it easier for you to succeed with your peers. We're Canadian. Embrace it. We don't need to compete. We can collaborate. We can collaboratively. We can work together to make Durham or our local community that much stronger by sharing, by discussing, making connections, helping out other people, bringing in corporate anchors. The next is a really tough one for a lot of people to admit, so I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. I am ashamed of all of us, but this is what we hear. I'm too busy driving to fill up the car with gas. I'm too busy being financially illiterate raising money to be financially literate. And I'm not talking about being an accountant, God forbid. I started working with Ernst & Young. That's 5,000 of accountants that don't need anymore. 70%, 76% of entrepreneurs are unsure what investors are looking for. Want to hear the shame of it? The whole pool says they're looking for investors. That's what's missing from the slide. They ask people who are looking for investors. How can 3/4 of the people not know what's publicly available? You can do that research. In fact, Intuit has given you a free course called Startup Foundations. They hired this guy to teach the basics of startup finance. Hired this guy. Well, self-promotion, right? Entrepreneur, right? And it's free, right? QuickBooks.intuit.ca/startup. It's like a 5-hour course with more jokes, but more interesting stuff. Well, okay, that's not true. It's accounting. But it's the basics that you need to run your business. You can't not be financially literate. Startup Foundations, that's all you need to run. This is the last one, and it's so true now. Because the cost of capital has dropped to be so low, because the cost of capital has gone to be so accessible, everyone can kickstart, everyone can launch a $5,000 business, you need to not look for funding. You need to not look to Wall Street and Bay Street. You need to look to your customers. You need to work with them in developing a product that they'll be happy to pay, to solving their unmet market needs. If anything, this is all called the lean startup movement. That's what this kind of approach is called. And the whole thing about the lean startup is there's no answers found in your office. They're all found in the offices of your customers. They're in the homes of your users. And so the best thing you can do is remember that now is the best time to be an entrepreneur. Now he's got great resources, and these resources apply even if you're the corner dry cleaner. You need a Twitter page. I realize it's a dry cleaner on Twitter, but have fun with it. Let people know you have a sale. Let the neighborhood know that you're opening an extra day because of the party last night in your house. But you need to take these things and know it's not your mama and daddy's old way of doing business. We have these new techniques. This path is known. Right? So 100 Steps to Startup is our path. It's 100 short instructional videos, actionable worksheets, and so forth. It looks a little bit like this. Again, you're stuck with me, but that's just because we couldn't afford the real host. And each step walks you step by step what to do. It may not, all 100 may not be for you. We found that like biotechnology companies can't use 100 steps. But students have taken restaurants, the young entrepreneurs have taken shirt companies, they've taken software, and walked through this process of ideation and customer development. And I hope you will too, because it's our future that we're building. Some of us aren't going to succeed. That's okay. You don't know until you try. But we should fail because of outside things, not because we couldn't learn something or we didn't have access to something or we didn't help each other. Right? Let the failures be the failures. We've got to embrace failure way more than we do. Lift people up and keep moving forward. But we need to be smarter. And we need to learn from the waves of companies that have come before us and leverage what they're doing to be successful for you. I want to leave you with this thought that startup success isn't due to one big thing. It's the result of putting a lot of little things together. And if you really think about it, entrepreneurship is about empowerment. It's about changing the world, making a better, more optimal place to live. But you need the courage to start, you need the perseverance to follow through, and you need to know the path you're going to be on. But when you do that, you can proudly say, entrepreneur no more. If you want to learn more, some of the information I talked to you about can be found in some of these books. But since I don't own any of those books, I would encourage you to buy Startup Opportunities. Know when to quit your day job by me. And it's currently, no, I don't think it's on sale. I remember it was on sale for 99 cents, which is, by the way, how you get to number one. I have some time for questions. I'm delighted to share with you that Startup Canada has given you all a promo code. So if you want to buy 100stepstostartup.com, you can buy it now at, wait for it, it's very tricky, 100stepstostartup.com. And you can use the code HILL 2017, HILL 2017, and you get a large amount off courtesy of Startup Canada and Intuit and a bunch of other people. Let me open the floor, but first, thank you again for allowing me to participate in your Global Entrepreneurship Week. All right here for the first book. The question is yours.
Actually, my question was,
We're going to buy the book anyway?
can I have the book?
Yes. That's smart. Does she have the book? Let's hear it for her, an entrepreneur. Young lady, you've all gotten really close to it. You want to ask her? Well, let's let the lady behind you talk first. Yes,
May I
ma'am.
have another book?
Let's give her a hand, too. Never ask, you never know.
Can I have a book?
Can I have a You tricked me once, shame on you. You tricked me twice, you're Donald Trump. Okay, who's got a real book? Right here, this young lady right here. Go ahead. No, that's you, ma'am.
Do you subsidize other companies other than, or provide funding for other companies other than tech companies?
So subsidy is the wrong word to give an investor. Only because I fund them, and I take a piece of the company, and then I come back years later, and I say, give me the bigger piece.
Okay, fine.
So we don't fund that. Our money comes from private equity funds, and our focus is on early stage technology.
Right.
I'm not smart enough to help other companies grow chains of things. Dragon's Den was a great opportunity to expose myself to different, wrong way to say that. It's a great opportunity for me to meet lots of different types, but I only know one thing, and that's growing high-tech startups, so we don't fund other than what we know. Yes?
So how does what you just taught us apply to, say, a nonprofit organization?
You know, it's a really good question. The question was, how does it apply to a not-for-profit organization? So some of this won't. Not everything fits everything. But here's what's fascinating. This is applying and being applied in lots of not-for-profits, in lots of government bureaucracies. And it's an approach. So how would I go about applying it? I would tell you to buy Eric Ries's book, The Lean Startup, and look at some of the philosophies outlined, which I've gone over very quickly. I couldn't possibly teach you in 20 minutes. But I have seen not-for-profits find innovative ways, because it's still the same business model. Money in minus money out equals whether we have programs next week. And your work is too good for us not to have programs next week. Right? So I don't care that you're a social entrepreneur, you're still an entrepreneur first and foremost. You've got to have more money in.
Right.
And so this does apply. You're not going to be able to raise venture capital, but there are some social venture capitalists, there are some funds that are using this model to decide which organizations to fund.
Look into Mars.
Mars is the organization that all our tax dollars go to at college and university, but they have an online database and you can click not-for-profit. But some of this does. Going out and working with your customers, finding new revenue streams, finding new products to offer. But the truth is you guys are already doing so much great work, but it's still got to be run as a sustainable entity, or it can't help next year's coming users. Yes, sir, in the back with that baseball cap.
What have you found to be the most important trait to be a successful entrepreneur?
So there's a lot of people who want to trick you into believing that entrepreneurs are born. And there's a lot of people who want to tell you you can't train entrepreneurs. And I agree, you can't teach entrepreneurs, but you can facilitate the learning of entrepreneurship. So we create safe spaces in our classrooms, in our labs, in our funds for students to expose their mental capacity to startups. And by doing it in that manner, you're able to sort of engage with them on that. In the end, it isn't you're born it or you can learn it, it's a practice. And like meditation, it's a practice. The more you do, the better you get. By doing entrepreneurship, you become the entrepreneur. That's what's different than the uncle who's still on your couch unemployed. Okay? They're both not making money, but one of them is taking action, and one of them is not. So the trait that I find most important is taking action. The second trait is resiliency. In academia, it's called the adversity quotient, like an emotional quotient. We can actually rank it. And every single successful entrepreneur, including all 50 that I've invited, scored over 100 on a 100 scale. Because not one of them didn't get there without a bad day. Not one of them didn't. And the naked entrepreneur, like, I'm not trying to shoot my own show Sunday mornings. The show is really about all the bad things that happen to them that they never get to talk about. Like catching their wives with their CFOs. Right? Like not having a relationship with their children. Like going bankrupt and losing the house and having to live in a rooming clause with your kids. And they show that. And I think that's really important. Because if you think it's just like on TV, you've got another thing coming. Right? And I can't let students go into the world going, oh, I'm going to be Facebook. And that doesn't work. But by hearing Harry Rosen cry over, I would think we all say Harry's a success, cry over some of the mistakes along the way and how to deal with that, I find my students resonate with. That they too have gone to jail or caught someone doing something they really wish they weren't, or thought someone was their friend when they weren't. And they need to see that it's okay. And so that's really what the show is. It's not exciting. There's no special effects. We don't have any robots. I wish we did. But it's just two people talking honestly about the naked truth of how hard it is to be successful entrepreneurs. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up and hand it back. I've got to fly to Vegas. Thank you so much for your time today.
Sean, another round of applause for Sean. And on behalf of Do It in Durham.biz, it's Do It in Durham 2017, which is a collaborative effort. Just this presentation alone, Dr. Sean Weiss was brought in through Startup Durham Region. We are at the G Center, the Town of Ajax, There was a collaborative effort. Do It in Durham is about you, it's for you, it's about all of us. It's about raising Durham Region. It's about putting us on a map.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great Very much appreciated. Hey, now this was really work together before. Everyone got nothing worse than trying to leave without the tool. Why are they not winning the other way now?
We've got another couple of announcements. No, it's okay. We've got another couple of announcements. I'm going to invite Ash Silva from G Center to come up. We've got a pretty special presentation that G Center would like to do. So if everybody could welcome Ash. Rainier, do you want it?
No, okay. I just thought it was good. Welcome to the G Center, an SJ71 limited company. Our president, Rana, had a vision to use this very broad convention hall that you're seated in right now as a vehicle to raise funds for great local causes, and chose one dear to his heart, a local cause called Grandview Kids. 22% of our net proceeds from all the rentals here where you are seated, including food, goes to Grandview Kids. It's only our first month since we've opened on October the 10th, and thanks to the people who chose to book our venue right here for their events, from Give It Up to Startup Durham, you're here to the Town of Ajax has sponsored everything else you can see around here. We also have impact insurance through last-minute training. Tracy Trimble, Trish, John, and Karen Johnson Mitchell, are you in the house? Did you know these ladies? They booked 3 events with us and prepaid for next year. Attend their events. And paid in full. Edwin Correa is in the house. He's got an event right there on the 23rd, which is next Thursday. Attend that event and transform your business. And Jeffrey Potman, do you know that name? He's in the house. Other People's Network. Now, if you want to know what Sean talked about and see it in live action, you're going to see it on Monday as Jeff runs Pitch It in Durham. So Pitch It in Durham is where all of what we learned today happens real time. So Monday, you want to be all in this room right here. And of course, last but certainly never the least, trainer Jane Moore, who's booked this event a few times already. Let's give them all a big hand, because Jane, we get to hand over a check to Grandview Kids today because these people and organizations made it happen. And now that the G Center is launched, we are super excited to announce that not only 1, but 2 projects are groundbreaking and on the way for spring of 2018. We're building the Joy of Whitby Old Pump House, a 10,700 square foot restaurant on the Whitby waterfront. In Ajax itself, off Salem Road, we are bringing you G Plaza, a contemporary banquet facility with 3 chic restaurants, year-round patio to enjoy the sun, rain, and the snow. The inside of a glass, all glass enclosure. Coming in the spring of 2018, we're going to be breaking ground on both those projects. Our President Rana's dream is to make Durham the next destination. We're working hard to make Durham the best place to live, work, and do business in Canada. But I think Patrice said something louder about that. Yes! We all have the same cause. And the SJ slogan, the SJ71 limited slogan, is you dream it, we build it. Ladies and gentlemen, Durham has always dreamed of a nice waterfront restaurant, a modern yet affordable banquet facility. We're bringing both to Durham, creating 275 jobs doing it. Wow. We need your help and support to make it possible. Because we do it in Durham! Yes, we do. And now, may I request that Bridget, I'd love to pronounce your last name, Bridget. Schinkel. Well, Bridget Schinkel is the Executive Director of Development for Grandview Kids. Can you come on up, please, to the stage? Our President, Rana, as well, can present Grandview with our first guest.
Before I present this check, I'd like to call Lisa House from Town of Ajax, Sheila from Town of Whitby, Frank from State of Durham, and Patrick from State of Durham to be on stage. We would not be successful without these guys helping me here.
Can you go in front of the banner, please?
What's that?
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Thank you.
Hold on, please. And ready? Okay. Can we just get eyes here just for a second as well, please?
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, behind every successful event like this, there's some people behind the scenes that make it happen. And one such person is Frank Ladino. Thank you, Paul.
Do we need a mic? Are you guys okay?
Yeah.
So listen, I was not really scheduled to be up here, but I asked if I can have an opportunity not to overshadow Grandview Kids. I'm a Rotarian. For those of you who know the Rotary, we do a lot of community work. And what I wanted to share with you guys this morning is, you've heard a lot about Mr. Rana. He's a good dude. He's got the big heart, massive heart. He is my brother from another mother, but I wanted to share with you something that he did 2 weeks ago that floored us as a community. He gave us a $10,000 check to the Rotary, which is the largest single donation by an individual that goes right back to the community. So I am proud to call you my friend. I thank you for coming to Ajax. Everything that he does is from his heart, and I encourage you to come out here, participate in the G Center. You heard a lot of the excitement. I'm not here to talk about the development, but I wanted you to get to know that Mr. Ryan is not just a businessman trying to create opportunity for Durham, but he really is a philanthropist to the T. When I asked if I can actually say just a few words, think about that, a $10,000 check. $5,000 is going to go to St. Vincent's for the new food kitchen. We wrote a check to Grandview, I think it was for 75 grand. He's also written another check earlier on in the year for 10,000 to Grandview in addition to this. So I just wanted you guys to know personally, not a sales pitch, that this guy is the real deal, and I am so blessed to have him in the Durham region, and I hope you
So you can go back downstairs and enjoy the rest of the trade show and just enjoy the rest of BizFest. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.